Welcome back as we continue with our history in Form 4, and this time around we're still looking at the topic of under this part of the League of Nations, the League of Nations. Now we have looked at a number of issues under the League of Nations, but this time around we are going to assess now, we'll be assessing the League of Nations, whereby where our aim is to focus on the strength as well as the weaknesses of the League of Nations. So there are a number of areas in which the League of Nations was successful, as well as also a number of issues or areas in which it was not successful. So we are going to look at that one. So that one is called the assessment. We're going to assess where it was successful and where it was not successful. So be there in this topic as we are together coming to the end of this part, the League of Nations. So let us be together in this wonderful topic. Now let us look at the assessment of the League of Nations. The League itself had some strength as well as some weaknesses. Now let's start with the strength. This League of Nations, it successfully intervened in a number of political disputes. We talk of the 1920s. So the first one was the Island Islands. So this intervention happened in 1921. So the Islands, they belonged to Finland, but the majority of the people there were from Sweden. So it belonged to Finland. So the conflict arose between these two countries over the control. So ownership was the problem there. So it belonged to Finland, but the people were the Swedish. So with that, it was a problem, really. Now, the League therefore decided that these islands, they remain with Finland, and Sweden accepted that rule of the League of Nations. So the League there registered a success. The second one is Upper Silesia in 1921. So this intervention happened between Poland and Germany. So Upper Silesia, this area, it was rich in iron as well as steel. So there are so many industries there, steel industries and iron industries. And this area, it had both the Poles. When we say the Poles, are the people from Poland, and the Germans, that Upper Silesia. So people there in 1921, the people, they voted whether to belong to Germany or Poland. So it was the people of Upper Silesia who wanted to make a decision. So they voted in 1921. So the results were that 1/3 of the people voted for Poland and 2/3 they voted for Germany. And the results of that was that then there were the riots, they broke out there. Then the League of Nations intervened there, 1921. Now, during that intervention, then it divided the area between Germany and Poland. So it was given to Germany and Poland. So they both accepted that arrangement. So it was another success of the League of Nations. The third success registered by the League of Nations came in 1925 when it was in Bulgaria. So what happened was that some Greek soldiers, they were shot dead in 1925. Now, these people were patrolling the border with Bulgaria. So then the League ordered the ceasefire and condemned Greece when she invaded Bulgaria. That is to say, when the Greek soldiers were shot dead, then Greek opened fire on Bulgaria. So the League ordered that ceasefire and condemned Greece because of that invasion in 25 October 1925. So the Greeks also they were ordered to pay 45,000 pounds, 45,000 pounds as a reparation for the damage on Bulgaria. So that one again, Greece accepted that one, and it was a registered success of the League of Nations. Having looked at the successes, now let's look at the failures. Where did this League of Nations fail? So it also registered a number of failures. What were these? Now, basically, it failed in peacekeeping activities. So the first one is that of Fiume in 1919. Now, Italy occupied this port of Fiume after being frustrated at the Paris conference. Remember, Vittorio Orlando, we said he moved out of the conference area after he was frustrated. He was denied to be given those promised territories that were promised by the Allies in the London Treaty of 1915. So during the allocation of territories, this Fiume was given to Yugoslavia. So the League did not do anything when Italy invaded Fiume, because it was the same parliament or the same settlement at the Versailles Treaty that settled that, oh yes, Fiume should go to Yugoslavia. But here then, when Italy is now invading Fiume, we see the League doing nothing. So there, it is failing in keeping peacekeeping activities. The second one was the Vilna also in 1920. So Vilna was the capital city of Lithuania, and it had a considerable population of the Poles. Remember, we have said the Poles are the people from Poland. Now, in 1920, the Poles, they took control of Vilna. So Lithuania appealed to the League for the assistance. So when the League intervened, Poland could not leave the city after it invaded Vilna, after it took control of Vilna. So France again did not act. Why? Because she was afraid of creating enmity with Poland, which could then seek for an alliance with Germany. So France there remained silent. And again, Britain did not do anything simply because she wanted France to act first. What was the result? The League did not do anything. Therefore, it also failed there in peacekeeping activities. The other one was the Ruhr in Germany, 1923. Now, we talked of the reparations that Germany was to pay. So these ones were to be paid not only in money, but it was also to be paid in goods. So these goods were such as coal, steel, and some agriculture agricultural produce. So what happened was in 1922, Germany announced that she could not continue with the payments. So you see there, Germany was tired of paying the repayments. Then what happened, what followed was that immediately France and Belgium, they sent the troops to invade Ruhr. So this Ruhr, it was an important industrial region for Germany. So it was like the economic base, the economic city of Germany, which produced more of those things that were to be paid, especially for reparations as well as for sustaining their economy. So France and Belgium, they invaded that one after Germany announced that she could not continue with the payments. So the League failed to intervene. So the League failed again there. Why did it fail? Because that activity involved France, one of the permanent or the original members of the League. So it failed to act there. The other one was the Corfu. We call it the Corfu incident. The Corfu incident in 1923. If you remember, we talked about the Conference of Ambassadors. Now, this one, if you can remember very well, we said that it was set up to look after the issues that would come after the Versailles Treaty. So it was its main objective was to look after those issues that would arise after the Versailles Treaty. Now, then it was assigned to look into the issue of Albania and Italy. So what happened was that there was this General Telly and 4 other troops. They were shot dead on 27 August 1923. These ones were from Italy. So General Telly and the 4 others, other troops from Italy. So Italy then blamed Greece. Italy blamed Greece for what happened there and demanded a large fine for what happened there. Then Greece refused to comply onto that, and Italy immediately bombarded Greece, or the Greek island of Corfu. The Greek island of Corfu was bombed by the Italians. So immediately Greece appealed to the League of Nations. So the League, what happened? The action taken was that the League condemned Italy and ordered her to pay some compensation to Greece for what happened, for bombing Corfu. Now, see the drama here. Then, this Italian leader, Mussolini, influenced the same Conference of Ambassadors to object the League's decision. So what happened here, the drama is that this conference, the League has ordered that Italy should pay the compensation here to Greece. But look here, the Conference of Ambassadors, it orders Greece to pay compensation to Italy. So you can see there what is happening there. It's like a confusion. So it all started with Mussolini, the Italian leader, who convinced the Conference of Ambassadors to object that rule or that decision of the League and make it vice versa. So the League then, after that objection, the League could do nothing. And what does that mean? It failed to make peace on the countries. Then there was also the invasion of Manchuria in 1931. So Japan invaded this Chinese province of Manchuria in 1931. So what happened? The League then condemned that action by Japan and ordered Japan to pull out of Manchuria. Then what happened was that Japan refused to pull out. Then she did not only refuse to pull out, but she also withdrew from the league. Then the league could not impose any sanctions on Japan. So that means again it is another registered failure of the League of Nations. The next one is the failure of the disarmament failure. In 1932 to 1933, that is when there was the disarmament conference. So this conference took place in Geneva, remember Geneva in Switzerland. So at the conference there, France rejected Germany's decision for an equality in armaments with her. So what happened there? Adolf Hitler participated this meeting. He was there. Now he presented the issue to say no. The armament issues have to be looked on because the disarmament of Germany made it impossible for her to make peace and control order, to make order in its country, her country. So Adolf Hitler presented to say she wanted to equal with France. So France rejected that proposal. So France suggested that maybe that one can be postponed for another 8 years. Maybe after 8 years, that's when that one can be looked on. Then what followed was that Adolf Hitler was the German leader. He withdrew from the conference and withdrew Germany from the league. And soon after that, Adolf Hitler embarked on massive militarization, that is rearmament, starting to build up the arms now after Adolf Hitler withdrew Germany from the conference as well as from the League of Nations. So it was like he was doing things on his own and he started massive militarization. Next was the invasion of Ethiopia. Invasion of Ethiopia. So it happened in 1935, whereby 4 Italians were killed on the Italian border, Ethiopian-Somalia border, Ethiopia-Somalia border. So Mussolini, remember Mussolini, the Italian leader, he demanded compensation from Ethiopia after these Italians, the 4 Italians were killed. So the Ethiopian leader, Emperor Haile Selassie, so he appealed to the League for what happened with Mussolini. Then the League condemned Italy and applied economic sanctions on Italy. So what followed again was that Italy then withdrew from the League in December 1937. So the League again failed to do anything beyond that. So you see there the League again registering another failure during the invasion of Ethiopia. Now, because there were successes, there were some failures, but still more, we have seen that the League of Nations failed mostly only uh, the peacekeeping activities. But the League also registered some socio-economic successes. So let's just quickly look at some of these socio-economic successes that were registered by the League of Nations. So there were a number of them. Firstly, we see the Healthy Committee. Remember, we talked about the committees and commissions that were part of the organs or the structures of the League. So the Healthy Committee conducted global campaign to reduce cases of malaria, yellow fever, and leprosy. So it did that campaign almost worldwide so that they combat those diseases. And again, the refugee committee, it was another committee. It also managed to repatriate, to bring back the refugees. Thousands of them, they were brought back to their homes. And not only that, this refugee committee, it also dealt with diseases such as smallpox, cholera, and dysentery. So the outbreak of these diseases were controlled, especially in the camps where refugees were housed. And also, the other committee or commission was the organ, the International Labour Organization. This one worked so hard to improve the labor conditions, just as it was commissioned to look onto issues of labor, working hours as well as working conditions to improve the working standards. So the ILO, the International Labour Organization, campaigned for improvement of labor conditions. So what did it do? It introduced an 8-hour a day and 48-hour weeks. That is to say, working hours. It invented, or it established to say 8 hours are enough for people to work a day. That's why maybe today you see to it that we go to work, maybe we start work maybe from 7, which means 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then we now go for the lunch break. That is 5 hours there. Then in the afternoon we start from sometimes half 1. So half 1, if we start from half 1 to half 2, half 3, half 4. People are supposed to knock off. That is 3 hours. So 3 plus 5 in the morning, that is 8 hours. That one, again, has been adopted from the International Labour Organization. So it was a success, because even up now, we are using such things. And again, it also managed to collect and publish information on labor conditions internationally, to say if maybe employers can be following such information or such conditions, then it saw to it that then working conditions would be better. So most of the countries, most of the companies, they are following still such things that were started by the ILO. And again, it also introduced international highway code for road users. So you can just imagine if there were no rules or international rules on the road, how to use the road, and then there could be an apostasy there. There could be a confusion, a complete confusion there. So it introduced that one, the highway code. Today, the drivers, they learn how to use the road. So today, road users are able to drive anywhere, because they know that the highway code applies everywhere. And again, there was a slavery commission that assisted in freeing slaves, especially in Sierra Leone, and the slave owners and traders, those ones were cracked down. They were abolished. We are trying to say that slave trade were completely now abolished, especially in Sierra Leone, where there were some elements of slavery, even though it was already way back announced that no more slavery. So the Slavery Commission, you remember it, we mentioned it, it managed to free slaves in Sierra Leone. And also, it organized loans for reconstruction of the Austrian economy. That is, the League of Nations organized some loans for reconstruction of the Austrian economy, which also cramped down. So it was assisted. So the Austria was assisted to come back to life economically. Now, there we have come to the end of this part of the League of Nations. Remember, we are looking at the events that took place in the interwar period. We started with the Versailles Treaty. Now we have just looked at the League of Nations. But next time we'll be also looking at another part, which is the economic problems in Europe. That is still in the interwar period. So we are going to look at what were those problems that were there during the interwar period, that is in Europe. So be there as we continue with this series. Thank you so much for your time.
Simutaya nthawi yanu kufunafuna maphunziro muzakhala wotumidwa moyo wanu wonse. Ngati simuphunzira anthu azingokutumani ajala kalime ajala kuchwe manyazi ajala katende yanti ndipo anthu ophunzira wandu wotumanso kwambiri. Ndiye ngati simuphunzira skulu akuyikirani apa mukhala otumidwa.